what to do next.
Hi guys, what's up? This is Mac from the Wi-Fi Ninjas, and today I wanted to show you the very basics of how JunOS CLI works. So in previous videos, in video number 8 and 10, we have discussed what to do with the Juniper Switch. You unbox it, you add it to the Mist dashboard, configure very basics like layer 2 interfaces, name, DNS and stuff. Then I've shown you how to connect to that switch using SSH. And now, assuming that we are all there and we can SSH to our switch, let's take a look what to do next, okay? So let's jump straight into my terminal. I'm not SSH to the switch yet, so let's do that. SSH using root at 10.10.10.1. That's one of my rooted virtual interfaces. My super magical password, and we are in the CLI. Okay, so let's see what options do we have here. I hit like a question mark and boom, there is nothing. Okay, so in JunOS, first thing that you want to do to get to the CLI operational mode is to type CLI. And you can see that we have like this thing that I have no idea how to call in English, this character. And what we have here, if we hit the question mark, we can see clear, configure, whatever, we can see show. So this is, this is the same mode as a default mode in Cisco switches or Cisco iOS, I shall say, that you would go to where you could start typing like show commands, operational mode commands. So let's take a look at how it looks when I type show and hit tab. It assumes that I want to put some command there, but when I hit the question mark, I can see the full list of commands available to me inside the show command. So you can see like show whatever I want to see a configuration. Okay, so let's try and do that. I start typing configuration and I'm at conf. I hit tab. It will automatically finish my sentence, finish my command. And then when I hit enter, I'm inside the configuration. And this is great. You can already see that it looks massively different to how it looks in the iOS Cisco world. We have some hierarchy here. We can see like group sits on top of that. Then we have the names of the groups called top, AP, IoT, AppLink. This sits inside the groups. When I keep on scrolling down, you see that everything is organized like this. So this is like an XML file. You have interfaces, and inside interfaces you have interface range, that blah blah blah, and so on. So why this is great? I'll show you in a sec. First of all, let's see how we can break out of this loop. So instead of hitting space 100 times, I can do my good old Control-C to break loose of a loop. And let's stop to discuss groups for a sec. So groups in JunOS is like a nice concept that allows us to configure a block of code that we can then reuse across our configuration. A quick example. So let's say that I have 10 AP ports on a switch. Instead of going to my config and going to do show interfaces range command where I apply, all the configuration, like this is a trunk with, all VLANs with native VLAN ID 10, and that times 10, it gives me quite a lot of code. What I can do instead, I can create a group of command with a type of interfaces, and then I can apply the group, so entire section of code called group AP to my interfaces. So the config will be like, you have the section configured once, and then you apply it across multiple interfaces. You can do that with pretty much everything. So you can do that with Dhcp. You can do that with all the config that you want. Here I will just stick to interfaces. By the way, this is automatically configured by Mist like that in this hierarchical group fashion. So when I've configured my interfaces in Mist Dashboard, and I created VLANs, and I've created the AP interfaces, they will be trunk interfaces, and what did I do? Something stupid. I copied and pasted an entire block into my CLI. Show configuration. So automatically Mist Dashboard has created a group for me, and then when I applied the profiles of the interfaces configuration to the interface, it has just applied the groups to these interfaces. Okay, that's enough of that. So let's take a look at more navigation around JunOS. So I break out of a loop with Control-C, and then if I want to use a command that I've already typed, I can always hit up arrow or down arrow to get there without having to type it in again. Now let's take a look at how it would look like if we wanted to configure some stuff using a CLI. So what I will configure, I will just configure part of a DHCP configuration inside the groups in JunOS. I will just create a pool called test, and I will add a network inside it. I won't apply it anywhere. It will just sit in a group, and we will then delete it so we can see how it's done. First of all, I have to go to the configuration mode. So in Cisco world, it was conft, configuration terminal. In here, it's just configure and nothing else. So I hit configure, and you can see a hash now, which means that we are in the configuration mode. And here I can do the config. So let's try to run show something again. So let's see show. I can see some show stuff. Let's try to run the show configuration that we wanted to that we've run before in the operational mode. And I can't do that anymore because I'm in a config mode now, and show configuration is an operational mode command. So there is a trick to run operational mode commands from a config mode. You start with run, and then you go to show conf, and you run it. Okay. Control-C, I'm out of that. So when you type run at the beginning of the operational command in the config mode, you can run these commands. It's the equivalent of Cisco do in configuration mode. Okay. So let's actually try and configure something interesting. So I will go set. You start the configuration of everything with set. Set groups, and then we can see the groups that we already have there, API, OT, top, uplink, whatever. I will call it group test. And then we have tons of options to run here. So you can see that we can configure quite a lot of stuff as part of a group. But what I will do is I want to configure DHCP, so it will be in the access subgroup, and then inside there it's the address assignment pool. I will name this pool also test, whatever, family, inet, network. So I'm specifying the network here, 192.168.00-24. Okay, I hit enter, and that's fine. I've configured my first command in JunOS. Let's see if this command is being shown in the configuration of a switch. So we are in the config mode now, so let's do run show configuration, and if I run that, let's take a look at inside groups. I would expect to see my test group here. So groups named top, AP, IoT, uplink. I will continue scrolling down. And unfortunately, the uplink was my last group, so I cannot see my test group. Okay, that's interesting. Let's see why. So look at that. I want to exit from my configuration mode to the operational mode. And the switch tells me that the configuration has been changed but not committed. Exit with uncommitted changes, yes or no? Okay, so I will hit no for now, which means that you have to commit your changes before they are being saved into the config. So I've typed my commands, 1 or 5 or 1,000, and they will not be there until I commit. At this point, JunOS checks the syntax, not the syntax, but checks if it logically makes sense what we have configured. And if it does make sense, it will just give me commit complete. If I was doing something stupid, then it would have warned me that you are doing something stupid. So now let's run show command, show config again. Scroll down, groups, top API, IoT, uplink, and now we can see our test pool here. So I could configure more attributes inside the test group pool test. Like now I have just network configured. I could specify like, a starting address, ending address, DNS, next hop, the default gateway and stuff. For now I just have like, one thing. I have just network here. So I could do, what I could do to delete it, because that's what I want to do now, is I could start typing delete, and then I could move down the tree to a very specific command that I want to remove. If I had this more attributes here inside the pool test, I would be able to target just one by typing, delete, and then I would see delete space groups. It means that I'm deleting something inside the groups section, and space test. It means that it will be inside the test section just here. Then I can continue going on with delete test access, space, address assignment, space, pool test, family init, and then I can specify one of the few attributes here that I want to delete. But since I want to delete entire section called test, I will just do that. So delete groups test. I can be more granular with that if I wanted to, but for here I will just delete entire group test. And remember, you have to commit the change to the configuration. I will do that, and then we will check if we can see the group test gone from the config. So we will exit to the operational mode, show config, so I don't have to run to type run in front of the command because I'm already in the operational mode. And we can see groups, top, APs, IoT, uplink, and then the test group is gone. Okay, so this is pretty much it. That's everything that I wanted to show you today. In the next videos, we will take a look at the configuration of rooted interfaces, RVIs, rooted virtual interfaces, and the DHCP, and some other stuff. But for now, thank you very much and take care. Ciao.